After admitting to sexual misconduct almost 10 months ago, Louis C.K. has made his return to comedy. He surprised a sold-out audience, receiving an ovation incongruous with the man that he is currently being perceived as.
Now, in November 2017, the month after the Me Too campaign against sexual harassment began, the comedian released a statement confirming allegations that were made against him by 5 women, and he's saying that they were true.
However, as news of his return emerged, other comedians were critical on social media. Aziz Ansari also returned to stand-up comedy with routine about dating, but avoided his own Me Too story. So my colleague Sanjana is tracking the story for us. She'll help us understand, what this means. Because Sanjana, we were talking about this in the newsroom, and you said that this is extremely significant. The fact that they are getting this kind of a reception on their return to their jobs and to the stage, rather.
You know what's actually emerged now is a contrast of sorts, because we saw the Me Too campaign gather a lot of steam last year, but there have been a lot of controversies now that have marred the Me Too campaign that, a lot of people and analysts, critics are kind of questioning whether this is actually helpful for women. So the first is the fact that Louis C.K. and Aziz Ansari have both returned to stage in New York effortlessly. In fact, yes, to the point of actually receiving standing ovations. So let's remember, Louis C.K. has not only been accused of sexual misconduct, he in fact came out and even confessed to the fact that he did in fact masturbate in front of 5 of these women, these fellow comedians. Those women too released statements. This happened in around November last year. Then we saw Aziz Ansari also accused of sexual harassment by this photographer that he went on a date with, after she told him several times in verbal and non-verbal cues that he was coming on too strong, that he was harassing her. But both these comedians kind of making a comeback to the stage, very effortlessly, to a standing ovation. People are happily, receiving them. So really a lot of other comedians are questioning this. But that's a very, very worrying trend that is emerging. The fact that, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, rape, molestation and just general gender issues are not being taken seriously, especially with Me Too. Then we also saw Asia Argentino. Remember, she is the spouse of deceased Anthony Bourdain. She was one of the spearheading, she was one of the people that spearheaded the Me Too movement, coming out, talking against Harvey Weinstein. Let's remember during Cannes, talking about how he raped her at that very festival. But recently we've seen sexual allegations, we've seen allegations against her as well, of sexual misconduct, of rape from a minor boy. So really now questions emerging whether this Me Too movement has diluted, the fight against sexual harassment and women's issues.
Which is worrying, like you said, because this kind of normalization of sexual misconduct or misdemeanor certainly not acceptable.
Well, absolutely. And, many thought that Louis C.K.'s career actually might be over the allegations and him having accepted it. But it seems he's back on stage. So where does the Me Too movement stand now? That's the question. Thanks, Sanjana, for joining us.